Hello, Cindy here. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today as we're talking about a hot topic. And this is something that I speak with hundreds of women about, probably thousands by now, around are you attracting emotionally unavailable men? And what we're going to talk about today is 3 ways to stop attracting emotionally unavailable men. Say that quick 3 times. So looking at that piece, do you attract emotionally unavailable men? If so, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, and you feel like you've had a pattern in your life, and it's something that you've seen as a reoccurring theme of attracting men that just aren't available, that just don't seem to have the capacity to give you what you want, need, and desire. If that's been your experience, just say yes. I've experienced it myself, and I teach what I need the most. So I am teaching you guys steps that do work in course correcting this. You know, my clients that I work with, I do some rewiring techniques on their brain, and we dive even deeper into what's underneath that. And there's usually a couple things around fear and around, this starts off in childhood. So I'm going to touch on that today, but what I really want to talk about is the first way that we do that. This, you may have, read or seen articles on this, and some of this might be counterintuitive to what you've seen in the past. And my goal is to help you to dive deeper underneath that. Awesome, Helene. It looks like you've broken that pattern, which is great. So give yourself just permission to be teachable around this. Second is the number one way to start separating yourself from emotionally unavailable men is to put 80% of your attention on yourself and 20% of your attention on the person or the relationship. 80% of your attention on you, yourself, being present with yourself in your life, focusing on you, ways to be and become a better you. That means slowing down, intimacy with yourself. Chances are, if this has been a challenge for you in your life, intimacy is a thing, slowing down is a thing, and being really present with what is a challenge. Okay, so 80% of your attention gets to be on you, the things that make you happy, and 20% is on the guy. So if you're out there dating, maybe you're dating multiple people, you're getting to know multiple people, and you like this one guy, remember 80% of that attention's on you, 20% on him. Because here's what'll happen. You'll have some space to see what he's all about, what he's truly available for. Is he showing up for you? Because if you're spending 80% of your time on you and the things that you get to focus on in your life, I guarantee you'll see very quickly if this person is truly available, if they're truly available. And part of the reason why this happens, right? So part of the reason why the tendency is to put more energy into a man, a relationship, is because what usually happens is we get disconnected from ourselves, from our intuition. So as women, we're highly intuitive. We're more intuitive than men. And if you give yourself the space, your creativity, your intuition opens up. So do the things that you enjoy, that you're passionate about for you. So if you're into yoga, you're into dance, what are those things that feed your soul? That's going to be something that gives you the space in your life to get really present and connected with yourself, connected with your intuition, connected with, what it is you desire. Okay. So, and this happens often, as women, if you're a giver, if you're somebody that tends to give a lot or overextends herself in relationships, again, counterintuitive, right, you guys? Then, you bend over backwards. If you're spending 80% on yourself, 20% on other people, then it gives you less time to give more of yourself, your time, your energy, to friends, family, because typically what you start to see is a pattern. You start to see not only is there a pattern of attracting unavailable men, there's some disconnected relationships in your life. There are unavailable people in your life. Maybe you're the one that's chasing them. Maybe you're the one that puts in more of the effort. And it's not being matched, or that person only shows up when you do the work, right? So taking a look at that, and typically when this happens, your true relationships, they start to improve because we're not suffocating them. You're actually creating an opening for flow. I call it infinite flow. So the next step is to stop attracting emotionally available men. Now, I'm not telling you that this is going to happen overnight. If this is a pattern of yours, you've seen this as a pattern in your life, you get to get underneath of what's happening. It's hard to do on your own. I recommend, connecting with a coach, someone that you feel connected to, myself, there's, a variety of other coaches out there, to get underneath what's happening. Okay. So if this is a pattern, it can be hard to dissect on your own, but definitely do yourself a favor and take the time to do the work around this so you can break free and actually create what it is you want. Okay, so this is the next one. I call it the fantasy or the fantasy bond, but drop your expectations that the relationship that, that person that you're with or that you're hanging on to or you're involved with or you have been involved with in the past, that it's going to change, that there's going to be this, amazing breakthrough, and he's going to be, listening to you and rubbing your feet at night and, being, loving and supportive and, all of these things, that he actually sees you. You get to really look at what's happening now. So if you're in a relationship, you're dating, whatever's happening, look at what his actions are right now, not what he says. What are his actions? How is he showing up? And drop the idea or idealistic point of view that this is going to shift or change. Stay in the present, stay in the present moment, drop your fantasy. Does that make sense, right? So, because a lot of times what too can happen, and I've seen this with some of my clients at times where, they'll be dating someone and they meet him, they kind of like him, and they'll put him up on a pedestal. And, I talked a little bit about this pedestal thing, and it's really impossible to, look at what is, looking at being present as to what he is, who he is, and not have a fantasy around the kind of individual he is, and maybe not even the character of individual, like who is he showing up to being and who's he committed to being, so drop that fantasy. So what's happening is what's happening right now. So, here would be a really good example. Let's just say you're dating a guy and he has a history of infidelity with women. And let's just say he's, in his mid 40s or 50s, doesn't matter how old he is. He has a pattern of infidelity with women. And in your mind, you think, well, this could be my soulmate. We have a really amazing connection. And while maybe you do, you also get to look at what are the facts. The facts are he has a history of being unfaithful. And so this may be for a variety of different reasons. And I've been involved with someone that was like this. And, did that person take responsibility? Are they in a place where they're actually able to be in relationship? Some people aren't built that way. Some people aren't built for long-term connections. Or if they have a history of going back and forth, and there's a codependency there, what makes you think that it would be any different for you, right? So looking at that piece. And the main thing I would share with you is if you're dating someone and you want to go earmuffs, you want to go earmuff ears, I don't want to hear about this, slow down. Just slow down. I've never seen anyone regret it. I've actually, what I always see, and I tell this to my clients all the time, they get sick of me. They're like, I know, move slower now to move faster later on. And yes, because you're going to find out a lot. You're going to find out, does this person have the capacity to show up the way that I'm willing to show up? Or hold space for me, right? So this leads me to the next one. And this is going to be tough for a lot of you guys because I know I work with strong women that, know themselves, have, achieved some things in other areas of their lives, and have, this is an area that they can struggle with. And I'm going to talk about one more thing at the end here because this is really important. But using vulnerability as a filter, yes. So being brave. And this is how I'd recommend using vulnerability. Talking about something that you've worked through, that you've gotten to the other side of. Maybe you had maybe you struggled with addiction in the past. I'm just thinking of things, right? Maybe you have something that, you feel ashamed about, or it just scares you to share. So there's that vulnerability piece, right? So don't share something that's going to be hard for you to recover from. Does that make sense? It's like you want to share something that you've gotten to the other side of. And, when you're vulnerable, see how he shows up. And I know it's hard to do at times because you may have been vulnerable and, you might have had that person turn it around on you and use it against you, at a later date, or you didn't feel seen and heard. So you want to see how this person shows up. Do they get uncomfortable? Do they shut down? Are they able to be with you? Are they able to show up for you, be with you? And it's not always exactly the way you want them to be, but you can tell the difference between someone who has the capacity to listen and show up and is interested in that, is interested in that part of you, interested in diving into those depths. You can get a pretty good idea from utilizing this measuring stick. So can he see you? Can he connect with you? I always like to remember what I'm saying so I don't get too off track, because if I do, I'll just start talking and talking and talking away. So the next thing that I want to speak into, and this one's really important, it's there. Maybe you have your quality of life is frustrated. You're frustrated often in life, or you're let down or disappointed. Now, this might have started as a child, so things maybe start to go your way, or you're applying for a really amazing job and then all of a sudden you don't get it, somebody else gets it, or you're growing up. I mean, I tried out for cheerleading 4 times and I never made the team. You might think it's funny, but it's true. Somebody else got it. That was a frustrating part of my life. And I had that happen at times in my life until I shifted the story in my head. Okay, so were there times where you've been in relationships and, it was like you felt like it was almost there, but it always ended, or he was always unavailable, or he was an alcoholic, or he just, it was wrong time, wrong place. There's a frustrated quality of your life. It's just like the elusive carrot that's dangling. And this could be the case, like I mentioned, in a lot of areas of your life that just, it's like, man, it's disappointing, right? And what happens is there's a subconscious thing that goes on in your brain that says, I'm not good enough. I never really get what I want. And that might not even be conscious. Okay. And what happens is, and there's a lot of psychology around this. There's a lot of research. Psychologists talk about this, that our brains want to continue to prove us right. So if you've experienced heartbreak, a lot of heartbreak, disappointment in relationships, and haven't been able to do the work to dive underneath this to switch the programming, what happens is our subconscious says, it's not going to work. I'm going to continue to prove myself right so that it keeps me safe and protected, because my life, things just don't really work out for me. Who can relate to that? Who can relate to having those frustrated qualities? I remember I was maybe 8 years old, and I was sitting in the back seat of my mom's car on my birthday crying. I have no idea why I was crying, but there was something in me that didn't like the attention on me because I felt bad. I felt bad. It was my birthday, right? I felt bad. And I didn't know how to express myself. And I thought, I better not ask for anything. So for years, I never asked for anything for my birthday because I couldn't even identify with things that I wanted. Who's been there? So you guys, this is, and I'm going to continue to dive into this. Let me know if this has been helpful. Please share this with a woman that you feel could use this message today. Also, we will be, casting this live on YouTube as well. So if you're on YouTube, hit the like button if you happen to like this. And secondly, what else? If you want to follow me and get all of my, get all of my materials and all of my videos, which we almost post things daily, just go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also, I'm welcome to all of your questions, comments. We get to them, we answer them all, and I'm sending you so much love. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And here's to you, and seriously creating your luck and love and shifting any paradigm that might be holding you back. So good to see you guys, Daniela, Sarah, Ellen. Sending you so much love. Bye, everyone.